接下来，让我们掌声请上 Zen 项目资深架构师 Keir Fraser 为大家带来题为 Zen Hypervisor Update 的主题演讲。有请 Keir。
Hi there, good morning. So my name's Keir Fraser, and I work with Ian in Cambridge, and my history with Zen similarly dates right back to its early days. In fact, I was the original implementer of the hypervisor software, and that role has evolved over the years into taking a gatekeeper and technical leadership role over the Zen code base as part of the Zen.org community. So you'll generally find me most days spending a lot of my time working with people, interacting with the community at large on the development mailing lists. And I know that there are a lot of people here today who are finally able to put faces to some of the names from a load of people here in China who have done a load of great work on the hypervisor over recent years. So what I'm going to talk about today basically is give you an update on the hypervisor itself, that open source project, and kind of give you an idea of where we are in terms of release plans and a brief preview and technical discussion of some of the most interesting new features which are going to be newly present in the upcoming Zen 4 release. So, the current stable release for Zen, actually just released last week, is Zen 3.4.2. Our model for releases as part of Zen.org is to be maintaining a stable branch of the hypervisor at the same time as we're developing and piling new features into our development tree. So that means that all the developers can be implementing their cool new features and churning the code base in what we call the Zen unstable tree. And meanwhile, we can also be slightly more regularly, say every 2 to 3 months perhaps, be producing sub-point releases in the last stable tree so that users of Zen get a nice stable set of bits to use to actually deploy out on their systems. So, let's say at the moment that means that 3.4 is our current stable tree, and that will be supplanted at some point in the new year when we make the big new Zen 4.0 release. That will be 4.0.0, which I'm currently expecting will start stabilizing for that in the next few weeks, so in the run up to Christmas, and then probably by the end of January we should be able to make the Zen 4.0 release. Now, obviously we're actually changing the most significant digit of the version number this time, moving to Zen 4.0. That really reflects the large number of new user visible features which are going to be part of the hypervisor in that release. And that's what I'm going to give you a brief survey of some of those changes just coming up here. So one of those is that we've been porting our patches across particular Linux kernel for a large number of years, and now actually the support required to run very efficiently the Linux kernel on the hypervisor has now been part of upstream kernel.org kernels for a couple of years, in fact, now. So that is to run as an unprivileged para-virtualized domain on modern versions of the Zen hypervisor. And what that means really is we think that Zen 4.0 is the time to announce that really as the default kernel. Upstream kernel.org is now going to be the 2.6.31, I think, is going to be the default kernel to build and start to encourage people to start moving up to these newer versions of Linux. That doesn't mean that development there is finished. In particular, there are certain features which, bits of core work which are still being worked on, and to that end, Jeremy Fitzhardinge runs a tree branched off, a kind of clone and branched off from upstream kernel development, into which new Linux kernel features can be added and core support can be developed. So one of the big things that he's been working on with certain other people as well is work on running, we call Linux kernel in a DOM0 role, so that is running as the control VM for a Zen system. And one of the reasons we're moving to the PBOps kernels in Zen 4.0 is that a lot of that work is now in this tree and is suitably stable to start getting actually being used by general users. Jeremy will actually be giving a presentation after lunch where he'll give a more detailed explanation of where things are and give his usual pleas for further development help and testing to make that tree even better and more robust. Another feature which I've talked about before at previous summits and is actually now going to be finally released as part of stable Zen release in 4.0 is enhanced support for virtual block devices and their management. This is a feature which is called BlockTap 2, and what this provides is well, a number of features. Some of the most significant ones are finally gives support for VHD, the Microsoft VHD storage format, so an open storage format specification which has a number of nice features, including support for things like built-in support for sparse storage formats, so that you only need to have storage, underlying backend storage for the sections of the virtual disk which are currently in use and have been written to by the guest. It also has built-in support for differencing or delta disks, so this also provides a nice container format for some of the more advanced features of BlockTap 2, including basically letting you do snapshot or checkpointed virtual disks where a number of guests can actually inherit an underlying gold image of, say, a distribution, an installation of Linux or Windows, and then they can have their own delta or differencing disks being maintained on top of that, so that as different applications or user accounts are set up on different virtual machines, only the differences from the basic disk image need to be stored. It also has, technically speaking, some other technical advantages, such as simplified support in the Linux kernel at domain 0 and simpler testing and invocation model. So something that Ian's already talked about and is going to give hopefully a demo about later is the new HA support, so high availability support in Zen 4.0. So again, only just in the last week or two, we've actually decided to choose UBC's Remus project for our HA support in Zen, and all of the support for that has now been checked into the development tree for Zen 4.0. I guess I won't go into too much detail here because Ian's gone over a bunch of this already, but it's worth pointing out that this also builds on things like the BlockTap 2 support in Zen 4.0. BlockTap 2 is what provides the support for checkpointing and checkpointing of disks and buffering disk data, but is one of the aspects that's needed to do the kind of replica management and checkpointing that Remus relies on. Another thing that also I've spoken about before and is finally being checked into the development branch for Zen 4.0 is more efficient network virtualization. So that's always been perhaps one of the hardest devices to virtualize, because you have very high packet rates, very high bandwidth, you can in multi-gigabit, multi-gigabyte network connections, and also some applications are quite sensitive.